discussing about some of the magnetic materials topics. In the last session, we have seen about the dielectrics topics and all these things, polarization and the boundary condition concepts and all these things, and the introduction to magnetostatics we have seen. So today you'll be seeing about the nature of magnetic materials and also the boundary conditions relating with that one. Okay. So regarding that one, you will be having that one. So the nature of magnetic materials. So you'll be having it as depends upon the different magnetic materials. You'll be having it as diamagnetic, paramagnetic, ferromagnetic materials. Okay. So in diamagnetic materials, what will be having it as? So the external magnetic field produces no torque on them. So that's what we have it as diamagnetic materials. So their internal magnetic field will be same as that of applied field. The internal magnetic field will be same as that of their applied field. So some of the examples of diamagnetic materials are hydrogen, lead, lead, helium, gold, sulfur, graphite, and sodium electrolyte. What we have there. Okay. So whereas when you go for paramagnetic materials, okay, a small amount of torque will be produced on that atomic moment, and they will be having small incremental value of magnetic flux density. Okay. So examples of paramagnetic materials. So you'll be having as potassium, neodymium oxide, all these things. Then ferromagnetic material. So when external magnetic field is applied to that one, okay, the internal magnetic field will be increasing over the external field. So when compared to all these magnetic materials, ferromagnetic material will be having good magnetism property. Ferromagnetic material will be having good magnetism property. And the paramagnetic materials will be having moderate magnetism property, and diamagnetic material will be having least magnetism property. Least magnetism property. Least magnetism property. Okay. So that is the thing what you will be having that. Okay. Dia will be having least magnetism property there. Ferro will be having good magnetism, and para will be having moderate magnetism property. Diamagnetic material will be having least magnetism property there. Okay. So you will be having, depends upon the relative permeability. Depends upon the relative permeability, we can classify these things. Okay. So when the relative permeability is very lesser than 1, we call the material is diamagnetic. When relative permeability is moderately equal to 1, that what we will call it as paramagnetic. And relative permeability is very greater than 1, we call that one as ferromagnetic material. We call that one as the ferromagnetic material. And also you can see the BH curve here. Okay, and also you can see the BH curve, which explains clearly about that hysteresis property. Okay, so hysteresis property of the curve. So which we otherwise called as hysteresis curve. BH curve we otherwise called as hysteresis curve. Okay, so when you increase the field intensity, flux density will also increases. That's what we are seeing from O to C. When you increase the field intensity, flux density also get increases. Flux density also get increases up to C. So after C, if you decrease the field intensity, flux density will not live on the same point, but it follows the new point. But it follows the new point. But it follows the new point there. Okay, so that what we call it as D there. Okay, the D will be having, even though the field intensity is 0, we have some residual flux density. We have some flux density, that what we call it as residual flux density. That what we call it as the residual flux density. That's what we are seeing there. Okay, so the OD represents the residual flux density. Later on, when you increase the H in the negative direction, B will also decrease, and that will be having it as 0 at E point. What will, because of coercive force. Because of coercive force. So because of coercive force, you will be having like that. So later on, when you increase the H value, you will be getting the curve in the form of hysteresis part. So C, D, E, F, A, B, C. This closed loop, what we call it as hysteresis loop or BH loop. Okay, so that the area of this loop determines the hysteresis loss of the magnetic material. Okay, the area of the loop will determine the hysteresis loss of the magnetic material. So a good magnetic material should have narrow hysteresis loop. A good magnetic material should have narrow hysteresis loop. Okay, the hysteresis loop for that magnetic material should be, good magnetic material should have narrow hysteresis loop. Okay, so it will be looking narrow. So if we have the on C in the loop itself, we can say whether the magnetic material is good magnetic material or a least magnetic material. Whether that magnetic material will be having good property or the normal property. The next one we can see about the boundary conditions. Can see about the boundary conditions. So where we have seen in the dielectric concepts, okay, magnetic boundary conditions. Okay, you will be having mu1 and mu2. You will be having mu1 and mu2 here. There you will be having epsilon 1 and epsilon 2, two dielectric with different permittivity. Here what we have it as a permeabilities. Two magnetic materials having different permeabilities. So there what we have derived ET1 equal to ET2 and DN1 equal to DN2. ET1 equal to ET2, DN1 equal to DN2. Okay, well, that is the tangential component of electric field intensity is continuous across the boundary. The tangent normal component of electric flux density is continuous across the boundary. So that's the two things what we have derived on the dielectric concepts. The same thing here you can obtain. The same thing here you can obtain for the magnetic materials. So instead of D here you will be having it as B. Instead of E you will be having it as H here. That's all. So here you will be having two magnetic material. Magnetic material 1 having permeability mu1. Magnetic material 2 having permeability mu2. Okay, well, so for normal components we are assuming that Gaussian surface, and for tangential component we are considering that closed path 1, 2, 3, 4. You can see in the diagram clearly. The HT1 and HT2 are the directions in which the thing is moving. Okay, well, so when you go for that, when you place two magnetic materials, so what happens is their normal components of magnetic flux density is continuous across the boundary. Normal component of magnetic field flux density is continuous across the boundary. Okay, so B equal to Bn1 equal to Bn2. That's what you will be having. Bn1 equal to Bn2. You know that relation B equal to mu H. So Bn1 equal to mu1 Hn1. Bn2 equal to mu2 Hn2. So here what we can say is that normal component of magnetic field intensity is discontinuous. Only normal component of magnetic flux density is continuous. So that we derive from the last diagram, assuming this Gaussian surface. Okay, well, this is the magnetic Gauss law. Closed interval of B dot ds equal to 0. That's what we call it as magnetic Gauss law. So from magnetic Gauss law we can have derived that concept there. B dot ds equal to 0. Okay, so Bn1 equal to Bn2. What we have derived here. The next one, what will be having as HT1, tangential component of electric field intensity is same there. In second unit you have seen. Similarly here, tangential component of magnetic flux density will be same. Tangential component of magnetic field intensity, HT1 equal to HT2. So in the exam point of view, if they ask magnetic boundary conditions, in your mind it should commit as HT1 equal to HT2 and Bn1 equal to Bn2. HT1 equal to HT2 and Bn1 equal to Bn2. Tangential component of magnetic field intensity is same. Tangential component of, normal component of magnetic flux density is same across the boundary. That's what in your mind it should come there. Okay, so clearly see about the things. The next one we can see about the scalar magnetic potential. Scalar magnetic potential. Okay, so what we'll be having test the scalar magnetic in electric field. We know the relation between electric field and potential. So the red point, what we can see that E equal to minus del V. E equal to minus del V. Similarly, in scalar magnetic potential, we have the relation between magnetic field and Vm, where Vm is called as the scalar magnetic potential. H equal to minus del Vm. H equal to what we will be having? Minus del Vm, where H is called as the magnetic field intensity. H is called as magnetic field intensity. Okay, so then from Ampere's law, we have that del cross H is equal to J then. When you go for vector magnetic potential. Okay, so we can define the scalar magnetic potential only in the region current density is 0. Only in the region current density is 0. Okay, whereas we can define the vector magnetic potential where the current region is 0 or non-zero. Current density is 0 or non-zero. We can define that one. We can define that one. So we have that the small derivation for this one here. So magnetic field has no divergence. So this and all they will be asking in definitely in 1 mark. What is the divergence of magnetic field? What is the value of divergence of magnetic field? Okay, so del dot B equal to 0. And also from the first unit you can see about that concept, the divergence of curl of any vector field is 0. Divergence of curl of any vector field is 0. That is B equal to del cross A. So here A indicates the vector magnetic potential. A indicates what? Vector magnetic potential. Okay, so you will be having del cross B equal to del into del dot A, del cross A. Okay, del cross B equal to, when you take the curl on both sides, del cross B equal to del cross A. And also we have that identity for del cross A. Del into del dot A minus del square A. Substitute that one here. So for steady DC, what you will be having? Del dot A equal to 0. So from that we can obtain the J value. Okay, so here is a model formula, model problem. What we can see that one. Okay, so we have to find the magnetic flux density and magnetic field intensity B and H at 2, minus 1, 3, where A value is given. Vector magnetic potential is given. A is called as the vector magnetic potential. So A value is given. Okay, A vector equal to 3y minus 3ax vector plus 2xy ay vector. Del cross A. So if you want to find out magnetic flux density, so del cross A, we have to substitute. We have to take the curl. Okay, the system is Cartesian system, so we have to go for Cartesian, that formula, curl for Cartesian coordinate system. If you apply that one, you will be getting del cross A. So after finding out del cross A, we have to go for that B value. B is nothing but del cross A. B is nothing but del cross A. Then apply the points, you will be getting B value. And once you find out B value, you can calculate H value, because H equal to B by mu. H equal to what you will be having, that B by mu. Once you know about that H value and once you know about that B value, you can calculate the H value there. You can calculate the H value. Okay, then a model, once again a model problem here. Okay, this problem relates with the cylindrical coordinates. The last problem what we have seen for the Cartesian coordinates, here you can see the cylindrical coordinates. A vector equal to 50 rho square A z vector, where we have to find out magnetic field intensity, magnetic flux density and current density J there. A value is given. A value is given. We have to find out B, H, J there. So B equal to del cross E. B equal to what you will be having? Del cross E. So once you find out B value, you can find out H value. H equal to B by mu naught. H equal to B by mu naught. So first we are finding out B value, B equal to del cross A. So 1 by rho, A rho, rho A phi A Z, dou by dou rho, dou by dou phi, dou by dou Z. Okay, so that value is what you are finding out there. Then similarly, you can go for H. So after finding out B value, you can go for H. H is equal to B by mu naught. Okay, then once you find out H, you can go for J. J equal to del cross H. All the concepts one by one related. Here I can see here H equal to B by mu naught. So H is equal to minus 100 rho divided by 4 pi to 10 power minus 7. So J equal to del cross H. J equal to what you will be having? Del cross H there. So del cross H is what? Curl. So what system you obtain for cylindrical system? What is the value for curl? That's what we are obtaining here. So J equal to 1 by rho, rho A phi A Z, dou by dou rho, dou by dou phi, dou by dou Z, 0. Then only for A phi we have the value. So A rho value and A Z value will be 0 there. Substitute that values, you will be getting for J value. Okay, so far we have seen about the different magnetic materials, boundary conditions, and the vector and scalar magnetic potential. So next we can move into the basic concepts of force, torque, and mutual inductance energy. Okay, so this topic once again you will be studying in your machines part. This is the base for machines. This is the base. So what is the motor principle? Whenever current carrying conductor is placed in a external magnetic field, a mechanical force is exerted. We are simply telling like that. Whenever a current carrying conductor is placed in a magnetic field, a mechanical force is exerted. So how we are getting that mechanical force? How we are extracting that mechanical force? So that is given by this concept. Okay, so what we have is a force on a differential current element. So force on a wire carrying current I placed in a magnetic field. Force on a wire carrying current I placed in a magnetic field. Okay, I am placing the current carrying wire, which is current carrying wire in a magnetic field. I experience the force, and it is given by this concept that F equal to IL cross B. Then by vector product, I will be having as ILB sin theta. ILB sin theta. By vector product, what will be having as F equal to ILB sin theta. That is cross product. Okay, where theta is the angle between vectors representing the direction of current and B. Okay, so we can simply say that magnetic force on a current carrying conductor can be given by the formula F equal to BAL sin theta, where B is the magnetic flux density of the conductor, I is the current flowing in the conductor, and L is the length of the conductor. L is what we can say it as length of the conductor, and theta is the angle between vectors. Theta is the angle between the vectors representing the direction of current flow. That's what we will be having there. Similarly, when you have with two conductors, so consider that we have two parallel conductors which is carrying the current I. It is separated by the distance r. R is not the radius here, just the distance. It is separated by the distance r there. Okay, then what will be the force between one conductor over another conductor? What will be the force between one conductor over another conductor? One conductor over another conductor. What will be the things between force between one conductor over another conductor? One conductor over another conductor. So we have two conductors, conductor 1, conductor 2. Okay, so here what will be having as? You can see that one. Okay, force on one conductor due to another conductor. So B equal to mu naught I1 by 2 pi r. B equal to mu naught I1 by 2 pi r. This is the flux density So when the current is flowing in one conductor, the flux density around that conductor is given by this point. B equal to mu naught I1 by 2 pi r. Mu naught I1 by 2 pi r. Give us what is the force on conductor 2 due to conductor 1. So it is given by the formula F equal to B I2 into L. F equal to B I2 L. B into I2 into L. Okay, so where B formula is mu naught I1 by 2 pi r. B formula we already know that. B formula we already know that mu naught I1 by 2 pi r. We have to substitute that value here. So force equal to B I1 B I2L. So B value is mu naught I1 by 2 pi r. So substitute that value there. F equal to mu naught I1 I2 divided by 2 pi r into L. Mu naught I1 I2 divided by 2 pi r into L. Okay, so this is the when your current flows in the same direction, we say it is a force of attraction. When the current on the both the conductors flows in opposite direction, we say it's that force of repulsion. We have it as force of attraction and force of repulsion. Okay, so here the magnitude of force is same. The magnitude of force remains the same here. Okay, so what is the if you have two conductors which is carrying the current, so the force on one conductor over another conductor is given by the formula F equal to mu naught I1 I2 L divided by 2 pi r Newton. Mu naught I1 I2 L divided by 2 pi r Newton. So the next one, what will be having as the torque on a closed circuit. So far we have seen about the force. So far we have seen about the force. The later on you will be seeing about the torque. The later on you will be seeing about the torque. Okay, so we have the torque formula here. Okay, we are having the closed loop. So in that you will be having the force. I want to calculate torque. I want to calculate torque there. Okay, so I am considering the square loop of length L carrying the current I, which is placed in the magnetic field B there. Okay, so the DF differential force is given by the formula I cross B into DL. I cross B into DL. What will be having that? The twisting force or the turning force, what we call it as torque. Torque is nothing but force into radius. Torque is nothing but force into radius, and with the magnetic moment, with the magnetic moment, we can express torque as this one. Torque equal to mb sin theta. Torque equal to what we will be having that mb sin theta, where m is called magnetic moment. The product of current and area. The product of current and area is what we call it as magnetic moment. The product of current and area. So with the number of turns, what we call it as the magnetic moment. Product of current and area of the conductor with the number of turns. M. B is the magnetic flux density and theta is the angle between the conductor and the magnetic flux density that you know about already. So in vector form, we can represent T equal to M cross B. T equal to what you can represent in vector form? T equal to M cross B. So you can see a model problem here. Okay. Current of 2 amperes in AZ direction. So find the force experienced by the conductor if B vector equal to 0.08 AX vector. That's what they are given. They are given I value and B value. They are given I value and B value. Okay, so we have to calculate the force then. We have to calculate force. So F equal to what will be having IL cross B. F equal to what will be having that one IL cross B there. So L value you already know about that one there 6 AZ. Okay, in the Z direction it is flowing, so it is 6 AZ. Okay, and B value is 0.08 AX vector. B value is 0.08 AX vector. If you substitute that one, you will be getting force there. F equal to 0.96 AY vector. So the same model problem along with the thing what we have seen here. Okay. So here you can see it will be AY cross AX. Normally AX cross AY is AZ. AX cross AY is AZ. What will be having? So if it is AY cross AZ, it will be minus AZ. Okay, it will be having minus AZ. Okay. So determine the force per meter length between two parallel wire A and B separated by diameter 5 centimeter r and carrying current of 40 amperes in the same direction. Carrying the current of 40 amperes in the same direction. Okay, so here what we have to calculate is force per length. The formula what we have seen is force, but here what we have to calculate force per length. Force per length. So F by L equal to mu I1 I2 divided by 2 pi d. Mu I1 I2 divided by 2 pi d. So mu value you know, I1 value and I2 value you know, your d value, the distance between the conductor. What will be having? Sorry, here distance only. The question wrongly given as diameter. It is distance only. Okay, our distance is 5 centimeter. That is 5 into 10 power minus 2. Substitute the thing, you will be getting this concept. So later on we can see about the torque here. So far we have seen about the force and the model problems. So now we can see about the torque. Okay, so these kind of problems repeatedly they will be asking in gate questions. These kind of problems, okay, repeatedly they will be asking in gate point of view. So clearly see about that concept. Clearly see about that concept. So now we can see about the maximum torque. So what is the maximum torque on 85 turns rectangular coil with the dimension 0.2 cross 0.3 meter, carrying a current of 5 amperes in the field of 6.5 T. That's what they have asked. So dimension 0.2 cross 0.3. Okay, so what is the maximum torque formula? So you can see here in the slide, T equal to mb sin theta. T equal to what you will be having? mb sin theta. Okay, when you will be getting maximum torque, theta equal to 90 degree. So at theta equal to 90 degree, what happens? Sin 90 will be 1. So T max equal to mb. T max equal to what you will be having? Just mb. Okay, so that's what you will be substituting there. That's what you will be substituting there. Okay, that's what you will be substituting there. Okay. So here what will be having as T max equal to B into M. You will be having that one. So M equal to IA. M equal to IA. I value is the current. The question they have given. Sorry, current what they have given, and the area they will be given as 0.2 cross 0.3. You will be having 0.06. So T max equal to MB. What you will be having as T max equal to MB. That M value you know. B value is also given there. M value now we have calculated that. Okay, so M equal to IA. First what will be having? T max 6.5 into 0.3. That what will be having as 1.95. So T max equal to 1.95 Newton meter. For 85 turns, what will be having? 1.95 into 85. Okay, so next we can move on to the inductance topics. So the inductance, you will be having as lambda equal to n phi. Okay, you can relate the flux linkage and the current. Lambda is proportional to current there. Okay, so the flux linkage is, I am having the coil of n turns, coil with n turns. Okay, its current is flowing through that coil. The magnetic flux density, the flux linkage, what you can calculate as lambda, that is proportional to n phi, equal to n phi. And also lambda is also equal to Li, where L is called as the inductance of the coil. So I can relate L equal to lambda by I. From that, what we can have it as N 5 by I. So inductance is nothing but it's a ratio of, simply we can say it as a ratio of flux linkage to current. Okay, so there are many definitions for inductance. What we have, property of the coil which opposes self-induced EMF. Okay, all these concepts we can say simply with the formula concept we can say it at L equal to lambda by I. Lambda is N5 by 8. What will be having it as N5 by 8. So inductance we above defined as a self-inductance. Inductance what we defined about as the self-inductance. Okay, since the linkages are produced by the inductor itself. Linkages are produced by the inductor itself. We call that inductances as the self-inductance. And also later on we have it as a mutual inductance. Later on we have about the mutual inductance. So we have two coils. We have two coils, coil A and coil B. Okay, I am bringing two coils nearer. Okay, so coil A is having a N1 turns, coil B is having N2 turns. Okay, so what happens is if I apply voltage to coil 1, that is coil A, it will produce us two fluxes. One is self-induced flux, another one is mutual induced flux. That mutual induced flux enters into the second coil and produces the EMF. That EMF is what we call it as mutual induced EMF. So the property of the coil which opposes this mutual induced EMF is called it as mutual inductance. Property of the coil which opposes the property of the coil which opposes the mutual induced EMF. We call it as the mutual inductance. Similarly, that part also will be having the same thing. So V2 equal to minus N2, we will be having M equal to M12 equal to N2 512 by I1. 512 by I1. Okay, so if both the things we have the thing, same thing you will be having. We have two mutual induced inductance, M12, M21. M12 and M21. So M12 we can say it as N2 512 by I1. Because of M12 is because of current I1. M21 is because of I2. If it is M21, you will be getting N1 521 by I2. N1 521 by I2. N1 512 by I2. What will be getting there? Okay, so clearly see about that concept. You can say it as M1 and M2 are both are same. M1 and M2 we can have it as both are same there. Then we can have it as coefficient of coupling. That's what we have seen about M1 and M2. So the coefficient of coupling where you can relate both the coils. Okay, the total flux produced by one coil to the second coil, linking in the second coil, what we have it as coefficient of coupling. 521 by 51 or 512 by 5. 521 by 52 or 512 by 51. Okay, so here coefficient of coupling, self-inductances and mutual inductances are related by M equal to K into root of L1 L2. M equal to K into root of L1 L2. M equal to K into root of L1 L2. What will be having? Okay, we can relate the self-inductances and the mutual inductance. That's what we are having here. M equal to K into root of L1 L2. K equal to coefficient of coupling. The problem if they given mutual inductance and self-inductance and asked to calculate the coefficient of coupling, then you can say that K equal to M by root of L1. So K value will be always less than 1. K value what will be having that one? Its value will be always less than 1. K value will be always less than 1. Then this is a combination of inductors what you will be having that one. Okay, so when you connect two inductances, So when you connect two resistors in series, what you will be having? R1 and R2. Similarly, R1 plus R2, simply we can say two resistors in series, R1 plus R2. Two resistors in parallel, R1, R2 divided by R1 plus R2. So here similarly, we cannot simply say it as when you connect two inductors in series, we will be having L1 and L2 along with that one. Along with that one, we have the mutual inductance effect also. That's what we can represent with the dot here. Okay, so if the dot is on the same end, you can also in L1 it is also at the start, L2 is also at the start, means if you have the dot, then we can say it as aiding. Fluxes are adding each other. Whether for one coil if it is at the starting, for another coil if it is at the bottom, at the ending, then we say that one as parallel, that is opposing. Fluxes are opposing them. Fluxes are opposing. So here series aiding, series. So we have two combinations. One is aiding, another one is opposing. And apart from that, when you connect in series, we have two combinations. When you connect two inductors in series, we have two formulas. One is series aiding, series opposing. Similarly, when you connect two inductors in parallel, we have two formulas. Parallel aiding, parallel opposing. Parallel aiding, parallel opposing. So that's what we are seeing here. Parallel aiding, parallel opposing. Series aiding, series opposing. So in your mind, what it will come, just we are connected two inductors in series. Just it will be L1 plus L2. Similarly, I have connected two inductors in parallel. Its formula will be L1 L2 divided by L1 plus L. Like that, in your mind it will come, but it is not so. Okay, so if it is aiding, what will be having as L1 plus L2 plus 2M. If it is opposing, L1 plus L2 minus 2M. Series aiding, series opposing. L equal to L1 plus L2 plus 2M. Series opposing, L equal to L1 plus L2 minus 2M. Similarly, when you go for parallel aiding and parallel opposing, so L equal to L1 plus L2 minus M square divided by L1 plus L2 minus 2M. Okay, so parallel opposing means L equal to L1 L2 minus M square divided by L1 plus L2 plus 2M. Clearly have that one. Clearly have that one. Okay, so we can see about that. Can see about the two inductors or the coils connected in series. Connected in series, you will be having that one. Okay, so we have two coils connected in series, 0.6 Henry and 0.2 Henry. Okay, so if one of the coils, what I have to find out is I have to find out K and M. I have to find out K and M. Okay, I have to find out Km. I have to find out the K value and M value. Okay, so what they have given us, inductance of two coils connected in series is 0.6 Henry. Okay, and relative direction of current coils when they reversed, what they will be having is minus 0.2. That is 0.2 Henry. Okay, so L1 plus L2 plus 2M. Another one is L1 plus L2 minus 2M. That's what we have seen now. If it is series aiding, it will be L1 plus L2 plus 2M. If it is series opposing, L1 plus L2 minus 2M. Like that they will be giving you, and one inductance coil they have given you, where we have to find out another inductance. Where we have to find out another inductance. Where we have to find out the another inductance. Okay, so L2 plus 2M, 0.4 Henry, L2 minus 2M, you will be having minus 0.1 Henry. So we have calculated the inductances value. Okay, similarly, we can find out the coefficient of coupling. We can find out the coefficient of coupling. K equal to M by root of L1 L2. After finding out mutual inductance and one inductances, you can find out the value of mutual inductance. From that we can find out coefficient of coupling. These model problems you can expect in the GATE part for the 2 marks and all these things. All will be very simple. So be aware that we have to solve with will not be given with the calculator, so you have to also sign with online calculator. You should practice. Then later on we can go for the inductance of the solenoid. Okay, so in a solenoid, the rectangular coil with n turns, what we call it as a solenoid. So circular coil with n turns, what we call it as a toroid. We can also calculate the inductance of the solenoid. So in a solenoid, what will be the value of inductance? In the toroid, what will be the value of inductance? So that is given by this concept. So L equal to mu n square A by L. Mu n square A by L. So that what we call it as inductance of solenoid. Okay, for toroid, so in the olden radios and TVs and all, at the back side you can see that circular coil. So for solenoid, best example is the choke, the bulb, or in the tube what we have the choke, we can, best example we can take it as a solenoid. So nowadays and all LEDs and all these tube lights we are having that one. The traditional thing what we'll be having with the choke thing. There you can see that solenoid. So that inductance equal to mu n square A by L. And for toroid, inductance equal to mu n square divided by 2 pi r. Then inductance of the coaxial cable. So when you go for coaxial cable, L equal to one cable over another cable. So what will be the inductance? L equal to mu n divided by 2 pi ln of V by E. Okay. Similarly, you can go for the energy stored in magnetic field. The energy stored in magnetic field. Energy stored in the magnetic field. Okay. So you will be having what is the energy stored in magnetic field. L equal to mu n by 2 pi ln of B by E. Ln of B by A for inductance of the coil what we have. Similarly here for energy stored in magnetic field equal to half Li square. Half Li square. And energy density is nothing but energy stored per volume. Energy density we can compare with energy stored per volume. So it is given by the formula mu h square by 2, and also we can write it as Bh by 2. So more formulas we have it for energy density. One is mu h square by 2, then another one is Bh by 2. Mu h square, how we can write mu h into h? That's what I have shown here. Mu h is nothing but B. So Bh by 2. So we are seeing that model problems related with the inductance, where they are given with solenoid. Where they are given with solenoid, 200 turns. The cylindrical tube of 6 centimeter in diameter. Length also they are given. Permeability they are given as 800. All these data is there. Straightforward problem. Mu L equal to mu n square A by L. Mu value, A value, L value, all the things they are given there. Okay, so here we have to calculate inductance for two cases. First one, relative permeability is 1 because air medium. Second one, relative permeability, mu r value is 800. That's what they are given there. Okay, so we can see here. So for air medium, what will be having as the inductance? Mu n square A by L. The second one, for air medium, mu r equal to 1. And for second one, mu r equal to 800. Mu r equal to what will be having as a 800 then. Mu naught mu r n square A by L. Mu naught mu r n square A by L. So from that we can solve with the inductance of each part. Inductance of each part. So similarly we can have with the toroid problem. Okay, so the same thing. So here instead of that 2 pi r, we can have with that. We can cancel it with the area. The top also area we have pi r square. The bottom we will be getting 2 pi r, so that pi and pi will be getting cancelled. That's what we are getting as mu n square r square divided by 2r. Okay. And for a coaxial, this problem relates with the self-inductance of the coil. L by L, energy per meter square. Okay, this problem relates with the energy per meter square, where we have to calculate for inductance per length. inductance per length here. Mu n square A by L. Okay, that's what you will be having as L by L. Inductance per length means dividing by L on both the sides, left hand side and right hand side. L by L equal to mu n square by L square into A. So n by L value only given in the question. 400 turns per meter. That is nothing but n by L. Okay, mu r value they are given. So 4 pi into 10 power minus 7 into 1000. Area can calculate 2 into 2. Okay. So if you substitute all these parameters, you will be getting that L by L. So energy per meter stored is nothing but you will be having half L by L the I square. Half into L by L I square. Okay. So this is about the thing what we have with this electric in the gate part, the electromagnetic parts. Yeah. So we have seen 4 to 5 classes in these 4 classes. We have seen about the basic electromagnetic concepts, about the different coordinate systems, then divergence, curl, and gradient, along with the divergence theorem and Stokes theorem concepts, and also we have entered into the dielectrics. There we have seen polarization, we have different dielectrics, about the concept of different dielectrics, boundary conditions topics, and also the last 2 classes we have seen about the magnetic materials. So my kind advice, always study the statement as the formula. Kind advice, always study the statement as the formula. Yeah, study the statement as the formula. So definitely they will be expecting this one in the gate part there. Yeah. Okay. So thank you students for kindly attending this session. Thank you.